Introa, ire, imava.
I'm 29 years old, and this is my story. It's a story about family, ambition, and how sometimes the most painful words can become the fuel for your greatest triumphs. This isn't just about proving someone wrong. It's about proving to myself what I was truly capable of. The early years and the uncle's shadow AVA. Growing up, I always felt like I had to fight for my voice to be heard. Especially with my Uncle Robert. He wasn't overtly cruel, not in a physical way, but his words, they had a sharpness that always seemed to cut just a little too deep. He was my dad's older brother, a self-made man, or so he liked to tell everyone, who built a successful, albeit traditional, manufacturing business. He had this booming personality, a kind of old-school charm that could be disarming, but underneath it all was a deep-seated, almost unconscious, condescension, especially towards women. I remember being maybe 10 years old, showing him a science fair project, a pretty elaborate model of the solar system. I was so proud of it. He just patted my head, chuckled, and said, "That's nice, honey. Now, why don't you go help your aunt with the cookies? That's what girls are good at, right?" Even then, it stung. It wasn't just about cookies. It was about the subtle dismissal of my intellect, my curiosity. It was a message that my place was in the domestic sphere, not in the realm of science or business or anything that required serious thinking. As I got older, these comments became more pointed, especially when I started talking about my college plans. I wanted to study computer science. He'd scoff. "Computer science? What are you going to do with that, Ava? Type faster? You should look into something more practical for a young lady. Maybe teaching. Or interior design. You have a good eye for colors, don't you?" He'd always finish with that sickly sweet tone that made my blood boil. It felt like every ambition I ever voiced, every dream I dared to share, was met with a patronizing pat on the head and a gentle steer back towards what he considered appropriate for me. It was frustrating, humiliating, and honestly, it made me question myself more times than I care to admit. But deep down, it also lit a fire. A quiet, simmering inferno. The grind, building my empire AVA. That fire became my engine. I went to college, not just for computer science, but I double majored in business. I was relentless. While other students were partying, I was in the library coding, studying market trends, networking with anyone who would give me the time of day. I graduated, started working at a tech startup, and quickly realized two things. One, I loved the fast pace, the innovation, and two, I hated working for someone else. I wanted to build something of my own. The idea for my company, Nexus Solutions, came from a frustration I saw everywhere. Businesses, especially small to medium-sized ones, were drowning in data but had no effective way to make sense of it. My vision was to create an AI-driven platform that could analyze complex business data, predict trends, and offer actionable insights, all without needing a team of data scientists. It was ambitious, it was risky, and it consumed my life. I poured every ounce of my energy, every dollar of my savings, into Nexus. I lived on ramen noodles, slept on a pull-out couch in my tiny apartment, and worked 18-hour days. There were so many moments I wanted to give up. So many times I faced rejection from investors who saw a young woman with a big idea and little track record. I'd hear echoes of Uncle Robert's voice in the back of my mind. "Are you sure you're cut out for this, Ava? It's a man's world." But those echoes, instead of breaking me, just made me push harder. I'd think, he thinks I'm useless? He thinks I belong in the kitchen? Watch me. Slowly, painstakingly, Nexus started to gain traction. We landed our first major client, then another. The platform proved itself, delivering incredible results for businesses. We grew, we scaled, we innovated. After 5 grueling years, Nexus Solutions was acquired by a major tech conglomerate for a sum that was, well, let's just say it was more than enough to ensure I'd never have to worry about money again. It was a moment of immense pride, not just for the financial success, but for the sheer vindication of my own belief in myself. I had done it. I had built my empire, brick by digital brick. Uncle Robert's company, the Opportunity AVA. So, there I was, financially secure, running my own investment firm, dabbling in startups, living my best life. And then, I started hearing whispers about Uncle Robert's company, Robert's Reliable Manufacturing. It had been a stable, respectable business for decades, but it was old school. They made parts for various industries, good quality, but they were struggling to adapt to the digital age. They were losing market share, their technology was outdated, and they were bleeding money. I heard through family channels that Uncle Robert was desperately looking for investment. He needed a cash injection, and he needed a strategic partner to help modernize the company. My initial reaction was a mix of emotions. Part of me felt a pang of familial concern, but another, more dominant part, remembered every dismissive comment, every patronizing word. The idea sparked in my mind. What if I was the investor? It wasn't about revenge, not entirely. It was about standing on my own 2 feet, on my own terms, and showing him and myself that I wasn't just capable, but I was more than capable. I didn't want to just bail him out. I wanted to see the company from the inside, understand its flaws, and if I chose to invest, do it in a way that truly benefited everyone, including my family's legacy. So, I reached out to a trusted colleague, a senior partner at a large investment firm I worked with frequently. I explained the situation, told him I wanted to make an investment in Robert's Reliable Manufacturing, but under strict anonymity. I wanted to observe, to understand their operations and their challenges without my identity influencing anything. He understood immediately. He arranged for his firm to act as the primary investor, with my capital and my input channeled through them, effectively making me the ghost in the machine, the secret silent partner, the real decision-maker behind the scenes. We crafted a term sheet, went through all the due diligence, and soon my money, through their firm, was flowing into Uncle Robert's company. He had no idea who was really backing him, and for months I watched. I learned, and I waited. The climax. Stay in the kitchen. You're useless. AVA. The day of the climax arrived during a crucial quarterly board meeting. Uncle Robert had been struggling to close a major new contract. It was with a progressive tech company that needed specialized parts, but they were also looking for a manufacturing partner that understood modern logistics and sustainable practices. Robert's Reliable Manufacturing was faltering on the presentation, unable to bridge the gap between their traditional methods and the client's future-focused demands. I was there, introduced by my colleague from the investment firm as Ava Miller, a junior consultant helping us with market analysis. Uncle Robert barely registered my presence, just a quick nod, probably thinking I was there to fetch coffee. The meeting was tense. Uncle Robert was visibly sweating, fumbling through outdated slides. The potential client looked bored, their team already mentally checking out. I watched, listened, and saw a critical flaw in Robert's pitch. He was emphasizing volume and cost, while the client was clearly signaling innovation and supply chain transparency. I caught my colleague's eye, and he gave me a subtle nod, permission to speak. "Excuse me," I said, my voice cutting through the heavy silence of the room. Everyone looked at me, surprised. Uncle Robert glared. "Mr. Peterson, I addressed the potential client directly. I understand you're looking for a partner who can integrate seamlessly into your supply chain, not just produce parts. What if we could offer real-time inventory tracking for every component, from raw material to final delivery, ensuring not only transparency, but also predictive maintenance schedules for the parts themselves?" The client's team leader, Mr. Peterson, actually leaned forward, intrigued. "That's an interesting concept, Ms. Miller. How would that work with their current infrastructure?" Before I could elaborate, Uncle Robert slammed his hand on the table. His face was red, veins popping in his neck.
Ava.
"What are you doing? You have no idea what you're talking about. Stay in the kitchen, you're useless. This is a serious business discussion, not some daydream for a junior consultant." He gestured dismissively, practically waving me away. The whole room went silent. You could feel the secondhand embarrassment radiating from everyone. I took a deep breath. The familiar sting was there, but this time it was different. It was an old wound finally healing. I looked Uncle Robert straight in the eye, my voice calm, clear, and utterly unwavering. "Actually, Uncle Robert," I said, letting the uncle hang in the air for a moment, letting the shock ripple through the room. My colleague from the investment firm watched with a faint, knowing smile. I know exactly what I'm talking about, because I am the principal investor in Robert's Reliable Manufacturing. I own a controlling stake in this company. The air left the room. Uncle Robert's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. His face went from crimson to ashen. The board members, my colleague, even Mr. Peterson, stared utterly stunned. I continued. My firm facilitated the investment to help modernize this company, to bring it into the 21st century. And a part of that modernization includes understanding what clients like Mr. Peterson actually need: innovation, transparency, and a partner who isn't stuck in the past. I turned back to Mr. Peterson. We can implement that real-time tracking, Mr. Peterson. And much more. We can be the partner you need. The aftermath and reflection AVA. The meeting, as you can imagine, took an entirely different turn after that. Mr. Peterson, clearly impressed by the reveal and my sudden authority, became genuinely interested. We ended up securing that contract, but not before Uncle Robert had to contend with the immediate aftermath. He was speechless. He stammered. He apologized profusely. He looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. His ego had been thoroughly, spectacularly deflated. Later, in a private conversation, he tried to backtrack, to explain away his words. But there was no explaining it away. I simply looked at him and said, "Robert, your words have always driven me, just not in the way you intended. I didn't prove you wrong for your sake. I did it for mine, to show myself I was worth more than the kitchen." It wasn't about gloating. It was about laying it all out, plainly and truthfully. The dynamic between us, of course, changed overnight. He still works for the company, though in a much more advisory role now. And he's different. He listens more. He actually asks for my input. He even told me, quietly one day, that he was proud of me. It was a small moment, but it meant a lot. This journey taught me that true power isn't about being loud or dominating. It's about quiet determination, resilience, and believing in your own worth, even when others try to diminish it. It's about turning the stones thrown at you into the foundation of your own empire. And sometimes, it's about being the secret force behind the scenes, ready to step into the light when the moment is just right. Outro AVA. So, that's my story. I hope it resonates with some of you out there who've been told you're useless, or that you belong in the kitchen. Don't let anyone define your worth or limit your dreams. Define them yourself. Build your own kitchen, or your own skyscraper, or your own empire. If you enjoyed hearing my story, please give this video a like, hit that subscribe button for more, and share it with anyone who might need a little extra push to believe in themselves. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.